Hey everyone, welcome to another AI conversation. I'm happy to be joined today by actually a longtime colleague and collaborator, Pat Mendoza. Welcome to the show, Pat. Nice to see you.
Hello, Doc. Hello, everyone. This is, I think, one of my first podcasts. So thank you
Talaga?
for.
I find that
I
hard to
think
believe.
so.
I mean,
Yeah.
as a guest, you should start your own podcast. Maybe later, let's talk about it.
So thank you for inviting me, and yeah, let's roll with it.
Yeah, sige. So I guess well as I mentioned you and I worked before, no, but maybe for the people who maybe for the one or two people who have never heard of you, maybe can you give us a brief background on yourself and then let's talk about stuff.
Okay, so um, hi everyone. My name's Patricia. My colleagues, my friends call me Pat for short. Uh, my background is in marketing, advertising, digital, and fashion. So maybe later on I can expound on what I do for a living and what I do when I'm not working. Right now I'm working for a real estate company doing corporate marketing. And I've been working for 17, 18 years now. Yes.
You look like a fresh grad. And people
Oh,
will not
thank
believe that.
you.
So yeah, so I don't know where we should start. Maybe we can start with a bit of history. So just for everyone's parang benefit. I ran into Pat. How long ago na, Pat? Mga 6 years
I think
ago?
mga 6 years ago.
Complete
27, 2017-ish. Yeah.
2017. Oh, that's even more. 7 years ago. And completely out of the blue, somebody messages us on Facebook. I don't remember the verbatim anymore, although I'm looking for the message. But so something about this whoever this person was so frustrated with the way marketing was being done. And so sabi ko, this is interesting. You don't get this every day. So sabi ko, sige, if you wanna grab a coffee, ganyan naman usually yun. Let's start there, no? Let's understand what's happening. And then suddenly Pat Mendoza shows up for coffee. So I don't know if you recall that time, Pat. So what was going through your head if you can
Oh,
share, no? Like because at
yeah.
that point, parang kasi kami we're like I was working in analytics, although I did come from also a marketing background. But you came from a hardcore digital marketing branding background. And then after that, we are trying to parang fuse the two things together, no? Pero how did that how did how did that happen, or what possessed you to reach out?
Who says? Okay. I would during the time when I messaged Cyrillytics on Facebook Messenger. I would consider it as a crossroads in my career because I recently left corporate and I was looking for my next chapter.
Hmm.
Uh, um, I was thinking, should I join another company? Should I start my own business? And I mean, I was just looking forward, no? And then I stumbled upon uh, Cyrillytics, online. And with my background, digital marketing, I was looking for the next frontier. No, I mean, my if maybe later on I can share my journey. Why I how I landed into where I am right now. But yeah, that time I was just taking my chances. I just wanted to just explore out of corporate. Para kang para akong nakawala sa isang box.
Yeah,
So
I can imagine. Yeah.
I wanted to try so many different things to test myself, my skill sets, to try to learn and learn so many things. So I messaged Surelytics and um, thankfully you guys answered. It was so out of the blue and I was just taking it one step at a time. And I think 2 months after that, we were already collaborating on a project.
Yeah, and I don't know, did we catch up with you before Digicon or after Digicon? Kasi that
Maybe
was also the Digicon era, 'di ba? Nung time na
I
yun.
think after Digicon um, because you were in Cebu that time is why you couldn't meet up with me yet.
Yeah, we were doing
So
some classes in Cebu
I
yata at
think
that time.
it was after Digicon. That was late 2017.
Ah,
And I think we
okay.
first met around October, November 2017, around that time.
Yeah, wow,
Yes.
tagal na, no? That was before the pandemic, before
before the
all of this craziness. Yeah, and that was within the first 12 months of Cyrolytics kasi we started Cyrolytics mga 2016 late
yeah,
December eh. Oo.
yes, yeah. And Cyrillics was the first of its kind that I saw.
Yeah.
No, um, I was in the marketing world, but I wanted to look into the other side, the tech and the digital. And not a lot of marketers are, I would say, would have that curiosity or that gumption to go to the other side. And since that time, I didn't have a job. I have got nothing to lose.
Why
So I
not?
become,
Yeah.
oh, I want to go to this side and totally explore like the work with the geeks, work with the data scientists, understand their world, because I felt like if I had that exposure, I'm just going to be a better marketer out of it. So that was my intention. Like I wanted to build my skill sets, and explore things that I wasn't exposed to.
Yeah. Actually, for a fact, if I'm not mistaken, 2016 to 2018, well, I think that was a pivot also for an industry. Kasi back in the day, wala pang AAP noon. AAP didn't exist. AIM hadn't done their masters in data science. The term analytics is very niche. There was CDM. Remember CDM? We did CDM.
Yeah,
Pero yung analytics nila was more about Google Analytics. Parang ganun.
yeah,
Wala pa
yeah,
nga analytics si Facebook noon eh. Or meron, but it wasn't called Facebook
yeah,
Analytics yet or Facebook
yeah.
Insights. So the term was very nascent. And then there were companies who were more of IT vendors. So actually, a lot of the analytics leaders people recognize today, they were actually just selling tools. No, they were selling software, Tableau, mga ganyan, SaaS. And then on the other side of the fence naman, maybe closer to your world, there were agencies. And
Yes.
I keep telling people I have a love-hate relationship with agencies because parang talaga it didn't work eh. Parang they couldn't get what I was trying to do. And I don't know how they're doing now, no? Kasi back in the day, it was kind of a promise lang na, oh, data's gonna, change creativity altogether. It's gonna change advertising altogether. Pero by and large, I think traditional advertising, traditional creatives still kind of survived. Ngayon, we're in an era where copywriters are getting jobless, graphics, people are going out of business because AI na can do it. But anyway, we can talk about that mamaya-maya, no? But I think back then, parang wala pa lang. It was a promise. And I felt that we found a common ground there, eh. Parang, we would pick and choose all of these advertising and creative influencers back in the day. And naalala ko, I don't even know if we should name them. But anyway, there were a couple of them. And then they would say the stupidest things, no, in magazines or the internet. My favorite one was this guy who said na parang bots can never replace the human touch. May ganun pa siyang paek-ek eh. And shortly before he got out of a job, to be honest. So that person ended up moving around. So I think even up to now, it's one of the last strongholds where humans insist that machines can't take over. No, and even I'm not gonna say 100% machines can take over, creative work. Pero a lot of marketing has already been automated na, especially with social media. No? Anyways,
Yeah.
again, going back to you. So back in the day, you were looking for work, you reached out, and then can you talk through some of the parang the things going on in your head, like as far as your career was? By back then, you were at least 10 years in the job na, no? Or
More
profession
than.
or more, no? Professionally working for more than a decade. So
Yeah.
suddenly you were in this crossroads bigla. Why so?
Oh, I think I'm always in the crossroads now because um always on the crossroads. No, because when I look back at my career, my professional journey, I don't see it as a linear path. No, it's more of like seasons and crossroads. Because okay, I've started in an agency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was really my foundation. I started in a media agency, so it is creative, but it's more data driven than creative.
Yeah.
Because you have the creative agency, you have the events agencies, you have the PR agencies. But I was I was molded in a media agency. And in a media agency, you cannot just recommend a great idea or a campaign or a plan without numbers. So I think that's where my foundation of being data driven, always making sure that my recommendations or my ideas are backed with data and insights. So I think that's where it was molded, no? And then so I had agency experience. And then I had a eureka moment that I want to call the shots, just like my clients. No? So I I wanted to be in client side, and successfully I was able to transition. So as client side, I experienced working in an SME, a small medium enterprise, and also having experience in a conglomerate, very different, no? If I could share my learnings like in an SME, kasi that's where I experienced the agility, like whatever we do, whether big or small, you can really impact the business, no? And then when I moved to conglomerates naman, that's where my eyes were open to personalities, politics, it's part of getting things done. And also how big companies strategize and operate, make decisions and execute at scale. No, so that's my exposure in conglomerates. And then taking a break, I had experience in joining a startup like Cyriletics, very different. My experience naman there was like personally, I didn't join a startup for money, no, because it's not the
Buti na lang.
primary. I mean, I went to join you guys with my eyes wide open, diba?
Yeah.
But for me, it was more like joining a movement. It was joining a movement. Parang it was very exciting. I respected the people I work with. I respected the work. I respected what we were trying to fight for. Parang ganun yung feeling ko nung doc when we were in Cyriletics. Parang we're here for a mission, and we were approaching companies trying to open their eyes and helping them become data driven in their operations. And back then, parang it wasn't really a popular thing, diba? It wasn't being talked about in boardrooms. So it was pretty new what we were evangelizing. No? So that's what I learned, in working in a startup. And then I had my stint doing being a freelancer, consultant, and also my business. So that's where my entrepreneurship hat naman happened. So if I look back at my journey, di ba, parang lahat nasubukan ko na, except I think working for a multinational or working in the public sector. No, I don't know if those two things will still happen, but I think those are like, I haven't. Or even working abroad. I'm always asked na, like,
Why not?
why you tried? Diba? Parang your bagay, I think you can succeed outside the Philippines. But I don't know, I just never really felt the need to get out of the Philippines. But my colleagues, they all, my colleagues, they've tried, yeah, and I'm so happy for them. I mean, it's a totally different like level, right? So, but for me, I don't know, I just didn't find the need. I didn't want it that much, I guess, because I don't know, I was satisfied where I was at. So
yeah,
if
come to think of it, parang ako rin eh. Ako naman, I'm the flip side sa'yo. No, I've done multinational, I've done public sector, I've done NGO. I have not done conglomerate.
Yeah.
Or I've done SME. I've done startups, obviously. Pero conglomerate, tas local companies, not yet. I've done BPOs. Yeah, I mean, they all have their flavors, I think. Parang I see them all as different concentrations of politics. In a startup, there's no politics. It's except the politics that you create for yourself. Crazy, In an NGO, it's very different. Akala mo, porque people are doing things for, I don't know, SDGs and for a greater good. May politika rin, In fact, it's a very weird kind of politics in NGOs. And then, I think the least political, in my view, was the multinational. Next to startups, multinational. Kasi, in a way, you're still governed by, kind of your foreign bosses who have their own politics. It's kind of a weird thing. Parang iba insulated yung locals dun sa foreign politics. BPOs similarly, because you have foreign masters, whether it's a third-party BPO or a captive BPO, parang pareho lang. The most political obviously is government. It's all about politics lang mostly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oo. So yun, Doc. And with all the things that I did in the past, no, I think the common thread would be I've always gravitated towards work that either starts or pioneers something,
Mm.
or the company or the organization is at the cusp of a transformation. No, so
That's
I think
usually the best time to be in a place, no? Because everything's
yeah,
up in the air and
yes,
things are
yes. So
going all over the place. Yeah.
that's what I noticed. No, when I look back, na parang those are the situations or the environments where I kind of thrived, and there's a certain level of ambiguity in my surroundings, but that's why the vision is so important.
Yeah.
The vision, like knowing where you want to go, where to bring this to. So, and also that's how I encountered you, because
Yeah.
I was looking forward. I was looking ahead. Where this marketing industry will go. So yeah, I think that's the common thread.
Yeah. I don't normally do this in a podcast, but I don't think people will fully grasp exactly what we were up to unless they see an example, no? So if you don't mind, I'm going to show everyone the advertisement of our business analytics masterclass. Would you
Found
want?
it.
Yeah, I found it. I downloaded it just for this, just for this episode. So give me a second. I'm gonna look for it first. Kasi anyway, just a background for everyone. So yun na nga, Pat reached out, we got talking, and remember, this is 2017, 2018. Wala pang mga master's degrees, bachelor's in data analytics. So this was really kind of the wild wild west.
Yeah.
parang data was like the underground stuff people thought they knew, and no one really wanted it, no, except the practitioners, no, who were like
Yes.
using it. And then I think you and I were talking about this with Claire's our other colleague. Now, you know what? Why don't we just teach people how to do it and then see what happens? Parang ganun, no? Anyway, so that's the preamble. I'm gonna enjoy this. So this is it. So sige, so I'm just gonna play this. And then if you wanna do a commentary while this is playing, okay lang naman din. If you So here we go.
The challenge for us is to
Oh my God,
evolve
Kelly
our
DeLuna.
very traditional business.
Sometimes in marketing we tend to rely on stock knowledge or gut feel.
They don't really appreciate it, or sometimes they are intimidated by the numbers.
I ran into Everett in a cafe, and she saw me, I saw her. We knew each other, but we don't remember when. Then di kami nagkapansinan. And then I remember after the fact, oh yeah, she's the GMA person.
We have access to a multitude of data. It's just that we don't know how to use it.
That's the gap that we need to fill. Maybe they need to be more data-driven.
We thought of how can we create a course, a master class, wherein it's not purely centered on techniques and algorithms, but rather it's anchored on the why of doing.
I think Partida, Claire was pregnant yata at this time, no?
So,
Oh, diba? I knew she was sleeping in between classes.
Analytics.
Now that data is becoming a need for Philippine companies, there's going to be a massive need for data literate workers. The masterclass was designed to be an end-to-end experience. We introduced a concept called the data value chain.
Yun kasi yung hinahanap ko, paano ko itatahi from asking questions to creating features or variables.
Even if you're a non-technical person, a non-computer person, you will have to go through exercises for the first 2 days. But having gone through that, on the third day, you go back to where you're best suited, which is making decisions.
In order for us to create sound campaigns, it would be the effective integration.
Si Business World was an ex-deal yata, di ba? Parang they didn't pay for,
Yes.
But we ran a half-page ad or full-page ad. And
yeah, they featured
attracted
that.
Of creativity and science of data.
I like the different models because they're almost ready to use. You just have to change the input and you just have to change the data depending on the context or your business problem.
The fact that you try to see the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, or even simple activities that you carry on with your team, you are shown with from a different perspective, using numbers as a solid basis to take certain decisions or somehow to improve what you're doing.
It seems intimidating. It's really not.
Si
It's
Dom.
really not something you should be scared of.
If you're a technical person,
There you go, Pat
we
Mendoza.
help you understand the business. But if you're a business person, non-technical, we help you understand the technical side also. So it's really helping develop holistic, modern business professionals and driven by data and creativity.
Now they appreciate how hard it is to marry business strategy and data. And I think if we continue to spread that experience, more and
Hindi
more
na yata
people
kasya sa akin
realize
yung
that
sweater na yan. I
it's
think I still
possible.
have it.
It's not easy, but it can be done.
Galing, no? How about that? My regret lang is I didn't keep the upskill.ph na URL.
Yeah, okay. Hindi mo na
So
maintain.
I let it lapse. And ngayon, it's like
Yeah,
$1,000 na yata if I wanna...
Yeah.
Kasi ang ganda
Yeah.
niya, Upskill PH. You should kind of
Totoo.
own it, di ba? Grabe.
Yeah. Surprisingly, you know what? Whatever we were saying in that video, it still rings so true right now.
Yeah, it's still true today. Parang the world didn't move on, no?
Yeah. And now that I saw that output, nakita ko yung, I guess, our dynamics then, like you with Claire,
Yeah.
me, and the other team members, parang the time, I wanted to be in that space, the data analytics
Tayo
space.
yung data, insight, and action.
Yes.
Tayong
No?
tatlo yun. Ako si data, si Claire si insight, ko si action.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
My
So, it's knowing your purpose, knowing your place, because I know that I'm not going to be a data scientist for sure. I'm not going to be a data engineer. So I just had to know what I'm good at and see how I can contribute and amplify what you guys have been doing. So that's where I saw myself in Cyrillytics. I helped come up with a program and then create a narrative that people will understand and be part of what we were doing, diba? In fairness, ang dami pa nating na-recruit na na students.
Yeah, there were a lot, no? And we made money. That was a profitable venture, no? I don't even know. I don't know why nga we stopped. I think we got tired. Nakakapagod din yun. Diba?
Why did we stop? Maybe, maybe we got tired.
We stopped. No, kasi at the heels of that, you see, Active Asia na came knocking. Kasi nga, Millie was there, diba? Damn, no, we should have just said no. We're just gonna do more master classes, made more money.
Actually, if we just continue that, Doc, I mean, it's just gonna pick up.
We would
Even
have been
more.
the equivalent of these itong mga AIM kasi we predated them. We predated them.
Yeah, exactly.
We're doing
Even for all of these data analytics courses, and and we were teaching the fundamentals of actually machine learning and artificial intelligence, right?
Yep.
I mean, these are bare bones of. I mean, you need to understand this piece.
And we were doing
so
it to non-technical people. These are like people who worked in hotels, people who worked in marketing. Ang galing, no? Parang, even now I'm impressed. So yung expression mo while we were talking offline about you sometimes hardly recognize yourself now na I hardly recognize that group of people. Like, well, those people look so awesome. What are they doing?
Yeah,
Grabe.
actually.
And that was before TikTok, before Instagram was a thing, before all of these. Ang dali-dali na ngayon mag-edit eh. Dati we did the good old-fashioned editing, no? And yeah. And then I remember you spent a great deal of time on that video. You were editing it like to a T, no? And down to the soundtrack, down to the very well done.
Everything. I mean, that's what I do. No?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do.
That's a Pat Mendoza DNA right there.
wanna
Buti
make sure
nakita ko siya. Buti na lang si Business World still ran it. It's still in their archives. So nakita ko, I'm gonna download this. Preserve it for posterity, diba?
The article is still up.
It
Our
is.
article is
It
still
is.
up.
It's one of the oldest references of me, no? If you look for me, and then business analytics masterclass, sabi ko, yun eh. Yun yung social proof uh, that people are looking for. Okay, sige. So, okay, obviously that's ancient history, so to speak.
Ancient.
So ngayon, what do you think about AI? Kasi AI came in November 2022. No, I have my own story with it. But ikaw muna, how did you react to it when you first saw it?
AI. For me, my first instinct,
Mm.
okay, I need to learn this.
This is it, no? The eureka moment, the holy grail, diba?
Yeah, like, okay, I need to learn this, and my first exposure, like of generative AI, kasi
Yep.
there's like, I mean, AI has been
There's the
there
old
naman.
AI, and then there's generative
Yeah.
AI. Yeah. Mm.
Yes. So generative AI, my first exposure was with ChatGPT.
Mhm.
And the first time I tried it, it was like, this is awesome. That was my reaction, no? And I never really felt scared nor worried about it. I felt like it's just gonna make me more productive, and it's such an amplifier or a multiplier, however you wanna call it. So, and I've also shared it with my team, and they're all mga younger millennials and Gen Zs, no? And surprisingly, they're not so aware of it. I mean, ChatGPT, like I had to like teach them
You had to
how
force them to use it, no? Wow, that's
how to use
ironic.
it.
Mm.
Yeah, how to use it for work. I had to introduce it to them, no? Maybe they're using AI for other stuff, like maybe more personal stuff, but for work, that was I had to introduce it to them, no? So
Mm-hmm.
on the marketing discipline, definitely it is helping a lot when it comes to creative work, no?
Yeah.
Writing, visuals, graphics, not yet. No,
Right.
We've tried it. Still very raw. Still, I still.
Have
don't
you
like
tried
that.
Midjourney? That's the state of the art.
No, I haven't tried. I think you need to have some technical skills to do that. Tama ba?
No, not really. In fact, ano nga so I've been doing public training, no, mostly on the chatbots. Pero I
Okay.
feel na the chatbots are, well, kulang pa, but it's getting well represented na. Pero the image generation tools like Adobe Firefly, Midjourney.
Yeah.
Kasi it feels like you need to be, parang Photoshop, you need to be a bit of a graphic designer. Actually, ano lang din siya, prompting. Pero yun nga, there's a structure to it. So it's not like a programming language, but it's kind of like etiquette. I like etiquette as the best analogy. Parang, there's a good way to have a conversation, and there's horrible ways to have a conversation, and a lot depends on how you warm up yung kausap mo, no? Ganyan din yung prompting, no? You warm up the chatbot, the conversation gets better. Same with image generation tools, there's an art to it. It really is an art. And yeah, there's a lot of mystery around it. So maybe that's a good for me a good indicator that maybe there's room for a mid-journey masterclass. I don't think anyone
Yeah, exactly. I think that will be helpful for multimedia artists, graphic designers, no? Because it's really just going to amplify or multiply whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
There's so much potential there on the creativity front, although it's also marred with so many, debates about creativity.
Copyright, creativity, mga ganyan, no?
Yeah, no. But for me, kasi those things will get sorted out eventually. Para it shouldn't be a deterrent to a new technology for you to realize its potential, no? I mean, the stakeholders or the people using it are affected by it. You just, continue the dialogue until you guys figure out like a common ground where everyone will be protected, fairly compensated and credited, diba? So I mean, just keep the dialogue going, but keep an open mind. For me, for any new technology, keep an open mind. Use it.
I don't know how true this is still, but in the recent year alone, no, syempre, I'm both in the kind of the bleeding edge where the AI is getting adopted. That's really a fun place to be. But I'm also kind of on the back end where people talk about yan, safety, ethics, 'di ba? May data ethics na nga for a long time.
Yeah.
The funny part is, anecdotally, the people I've met who are harshest critics of AI are usually people who never used it. So it's kind of like it's a bad analogy, but it's like taking sex education from a priest, no? Parang ganun ang dating, no? So, in theory, let's not go down that road. Pero, parang ganun eh. The harshest critics are people who love to wax philosophical and poetic about something, and they never or barely use it, or they use it the wrong way, you know?
Yes.
Everyone who's complaining about, oh, these models are dumb or whatever, they're either using the models like they would use Google, parang as a data source,
Yeah.
or they're using it for math problems.
Correct.
Sabi ko, why are you using LLMs for math problems? Use Excel for that. I mean, what are you trying to prove? And yun na nga, yun ang nakakatawa eh. So, again, I'm just one voice in the multitude.
No, that's true, Doc. Kasi like, for example, ChatGPT, di ba? So when it was kind of like introduced in the company, parang so everyone tried to like create their account, use it, and then may mga nag-quit agad. Na parang panggawa lang yan ng
Bobo
ano.
naman to eh, ganyan-ganyan. Yeah.
Oo, parang napaka-simple lang naman ng mga outputs. But and then they stopped using it. So I mean, it's the way you use it. It's the prompt, the way you converse with it. It's like, and you've heard this so many times: garbage in, garbage out, right? So you need to be able to do the prompts intelligently. Challenge the tool. Sometimes now with ChatGPT, I fight with it. I just test it.
No. I mean, that's how it works. It's a
argue with it.
conversational tool nga eh.
Yeah.
Parang on average, the worst output is within your first two prompts. If you never get past two prompts, then wala na. But if you're on your third, your fourth, it refines eh. So, it just tells me na para lang siyang ano eh. Para ang dami niyang mga analogies. Like the transition from Britannica to Wikipedia. No? We are so I don't know if that was your era, but certainly my era. Parang, you're all used to going to these holy libraries and getting index cards and finding these old books.
Yeah.
And then the millennials, mga era na ng mga millennials, they're used to Googling, no? And dati it was shunned. Parang, oh, Google, wow. Parang the quality of that research is suspect. Ngayon, research papers are all URL driven na, no? Yung mga bibliography nila, URL, accessed here. So, nag-shift na. And then another difference siguro was, remember, ito, very vivid. Yung shift from HBO to DVD, and then to Netflix, di ba? Parang sa HBO, although I loved HBO, the original HBO, no? Pero you were still a prisoner of your TV guide. You're still a prisoner of your parang Game of Thrones is showing tomorrow, yan. Babantayan ko siya. Then you have DVDs where you can just binge watch everything. Lalo na nung nauso yung mga pirated DVDs. Just buy DVDs and watch the entire series in one go. And then Netflix, who actually was in the DVD business, saw that as, what if we merge the two? Now, what if you could do video on demand, which is HBO pero played like a DVD? And wala na. Everyone else is struggling to catch up. I don't know if Amazon Prime and HBO Go have actually caught up, and Disney Plus. Well, for a long time, may resistance sila to that. And then yung viewing habits na ng mga tao, lalo na, I think the pandemic aggravated it because you pretty much will have watched everything on HBO na during the pandemic. So you can't go out buy DVDs. Doon nag-grow si Netflix. And then doon din nag-grow yung this whole online meetup space, di ba? Parang everyone was doing some webinar or Zoom call right and left. People were binging it just like Netflix, no? So I think may ganun eh. And AI is probably going to go through the same adoption cycle. There's some resistance, lots of critics. And then to be fair, the product is still getting better. The original product, diba, was a bit clunky. Now it's getting better.
Yeah.
Okay. Just mindful of the time, no? I mean, of course we can keep talking until we get tired, but we gotta save some for the next episode. So, as a marketer who's in a way orbited AI or data very closely, I don't know nga i-claim mo na kasi, Pat, you should just call yourself a data-driven marketer or something like that, no? Because you're better than most, if at all, no? And now I think I'm not very optimistic about agencies, honestly, traditional agencies in the near future, like the next 24 months. Lalo na when Sora comes out and similar tools. But
Sora.
wala na. As in, it's really gonna wreck things. So what's your forecast? Because you're in that orbit, you know. How do you see it developing? Or is there room for a new type of agency? I think you sent me an example, diba? An AI-driven agency. So how does that work out?
Yeah. So, well, I share the same sentiments with you. And the trend has started even before the pandemic. No? A lot of these traditional agents getting disrupted. But I think it's just going to evolve. There will still be agencies, but their services, their competencies are going to evolve. No? And it has to be powered by AI and technology. So it means the people, the creatives, the copywriters, the strategists will need to have that foundational and technical knowledge of artificial intelligence because it'll just make way for greater work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, just like the agency that I sent you, I think they're based in Paris, but they're an agency, but they fashion themselves as an AI agency. So they're like your typical creative agency, but their creative team all know how to utilize generative AI. No, but they specialize in certain industries like fashion, lifestyle, luxury brands. No, so agencies will still be there. There will still be a need for that, but in terms of skills, it's going to be technology powered, those skills. But I guess the fundamentals of strategy, marketing, how to derive insights, and your communication strategy will still be the same. It's just how to execute. That will be richer, more powerful. And agencies and companies would just have to adapt to it.
You remember kasi we were looking at the agency space even way back when, diba? And then there were companies like, do you remember Razorfish? That was another agency. I think they were acquired na. I'm looking for their website. It says here they're part of Publicis na. So there's been some consolidation. Pero that was before generative AI. Razorfish was doing like audience analysis, campaign planning, using data. Wala pang generative yon. Ngayon, yun na nga, parang the old AI and the new AI kind of they work very well together because one is the ideation strategy part, the other one is the execution part. And then yun palagi yung banat ng mga hardliners who shall remain unnamed for this podcast. They always say, okay, whatever, you can have all the data you want, but you still need some creative to execute. Puro ganun.
Yeah. I mean, that's not wrong.
Yeah.
No, but that's not the entire picture.
Correct. Or how much of that execution is still really just the creative as opposed to, some person. Kaya nga of course, I don't know how you feel about this statement because I think a lot of people who we think are creative are simply consistent. I mean, they're just good at execution, but hardly an original thought in their arsenal. I mean, maybe once in a while. And honestly, I don't think you need to be really that original to execute at a competent commercial level. You can build.
Yes.
And that's actually the problem kasi AI can be consistent. So ngayon, the pressure moves to originality na siguro, which if you take it to another extreme, magiging puro gimmicks naman. Gimmicks here, gimmicks there, pauso ka masyado. Never mind the execution. So I feel it will just add a third parang dimension na some people are all about execution, some people are all about ideas, and then you'll have a third parang dimension where AI comes in and then this 1000x the productivity and then floods the market with that, no? Kaya ngayon, actually, the mid-journey type of picture, it's intuitively fairly easy to identify na because it's so perfect, it's very glossy. So you
Yeah.
know na AI generated siguro to, hindi to actual. So ironic, no? Parang suddenly it's a badge of honor to have flaws kasi para lang masabi mo na human
Right.
siya, no? Parang human premium ang dating. As opposed to perfection dati, perfection talaga siya. So, yun na nga, it just changed the game na naman. Na parang, okay, so it's not about perfect execution, it's about slightly flawed execution. Parang sa pantalon, di ba? The tattered jeans. So everyone wants to be tattered jeans now, not perfect jeans. So parang it's just gonna go through another cycle and stuff.
Yeah.
You're big into fashion. Anything about AI and fashion that you're watching right now that would be interesting?
Yeah. Um, Fashion kasi inherently thrives in newness. No, it's an industry that thrives in newness. That's why you get, there's always a new collection. You're always catching the next trend, diba? I mean, if you're a fashion brand. And AI, the traditional AI, no, before generative AI, it's being used by a lot of fashion brands already. Locally, well, more globally, when there are more sophisticated operations, no? Like AI has now I'm speaking as someone who has built a fashion business of my own, and I'm also an enthusiast. I really study, I research, I read a lot about the business of fashion. No? So that's why I'm aware of what is happening in the industry. No? So when it comes to how AI is being used in fashion, ginagamit na yan ever since, particularly on the supply chain portion, no, where you forecast demand, you try to know like how much inventory or stock levels you would need to base on seasonality trends that will be upcoming, forecasting trends, no. So it's being used naman na by a lot of fashion companies. But now the interesting part is on the generative AI, where there's some controversy on, okay, should designers use AI,
Right.
in their design process, no? And for me, I think it really depends on how you would position your brand, your business, because the using AI for design, fashion design might work for, let's say, a big fast fashion company where you need to churn so many designs every second or every hour, every day, because of the volume, versus a luxury brand where the creativity and originality, because when you're a luxury brand, you kind of set the trend there. You introduce new ideas, new concepts, in shapes, in patterns, and silhouettes, and that's where talagang it's still going to be the designer, the human, the human creativity should still be there, because of the originality. So for me, it really depends on the objective of the business. I mean, there's no right and wrong.
Yeah.
Like a business could opt to use AI in designing their clothes, and another business would opt not to. So, and it's totally fine. No, for me, to each his own. No, so that's one way fashion businesses are using AI. And another dimension would be AI for customer experience. It has revolutionized the shopping experience, especially for e-commerce. No, there's a lot of like virtual try-ons being done also, and then the recommendation engine naman that's been being used ever since. No, so it's still, I just read a research, a white paper by the Business of Fashion, and how generative AI is being used. There's still so much opportunity that's untapped. But I think in terms of, let's say, in a business, different departments, you have your supply chain, you have your marketing creatives, you have your store operations. Pinaka nagagamit ang AI more on the generative AI, more on the marketing, the creatives, the design process. And the adoption is higher there in that aspect versus the versus the other aspects of the business. No? And I think that's because the people in the creatives, marketing, design departments are more open to trying new things. I think that's what makes it more advanced and more yeah, more advanced, no? Because the creatives people are just, they're just always trying out new things. And I think that's a learning that for the other parts of the business, that kind of thinking should also be adapted, no, in different parts of, you operate your business.
Right.
So, nasa sa tao pa din like how you would really maximize, utilize this tool, this amazing tool that you have. Because if you're not going to, it's just gonna sit there and you're losing out on opportunities.
Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud then, no? Because obviously generative AI, one of its biggest, parang for me, game changers is the access. Kumbaga, it's not limited to programmers anymore. It's not limited to the scientists anymore. Anyone can use it. So parang it gets rid of all of that parang overhead. Na you need to learn coding. I mean, you can use it to code actually, but that's not the point. And
Yeah.
other than that, it pretty much functions the same way mga chatbots used to function, except that it generates the
Yeah.
answers dynamically. No, it's not based on some decision tree. Na di katulad dati, you really had to spell out every branch in the conversation. So
Yeah.
yun yung dalawa eh. But the image generation is something else. Parang kasi chatbots are really parang relating text to text. So if I say, "How are you?" I am fine. Parang ganun. Pero in the image generation, the reason why it just opens up a new horizon. It's text to image and image to image and image to text. Um so I'm sure even people who paint, they don't think in terms of text, diba?
Yes.
And vice versa, the people who write stories, not everyone thinks in a very image or visual manner. And this is a tool
Right.
that kind of bridges parang the two. You treat pictures like text, pictures like words. So I feel nga it's a separate art form of its own, something that
Yeah.
should stand on its own versus the usual mga painters and photographers. Affected sila though kasi the outputs are about as good as what they can produce, no? Barring
Yeah.
other things, no? Okay. We spoke about this earlier. So now it's been what, 6, 7 years since that fateful message, no? And you've also moved on to other work. What's your advice to
Yeah.
Pat back then? If you met Pat or if you read Pat's message on Facebook Messenger, tas ikaw sasagot, what would you tell Pat Mendoza 7 years ago based on what you know now?
7 years. Oh, wow.
Or anyone for that matter. It doesn't have to be you.
I would um keep going. Yeah, I would say keep going. And be patient.
Yeah.
Be patient. Because I say that because there were some decisions in my life where if I was just a little more patient, I would have probably achieved a different outcome, or my path would have been different. I think the patience part also. I guess it comes with maturity then.
Mm.
No. We become more patient as we get older. No. And also now I have really young team members and that I interact with every day, and they also say the same thing. In mga Gen Zs, no, they always feel the pressure. They feel so pressured. They're in their early 20s, fresh grads, and they feel so pressured to achieve so much at such a young age. And siguro dala na din yan ng social media, and also when they look up to their pegs or to their idols, like they're so accomplished. So now parang for them, there's so many things I have to do, but how do I get there? So that's why they make stupid decisions because of they're just so pressured, and they're racing against time. So I would probably say the same thing. I mean, if I was in that age, and just be patient, keep going. It's good to have mentors.
Was it your did you feel impatient back in the day? Parang is that
Yeah.
an
Well,
informal critique of your approach back then?
I was impatient because I wanted to get somewhere. Like I had a vision for myself. So I was always like pushing and pulling of, okay, taking my time, trying to, experience a lot of things, but also making sure that I don't lose out on opportunities and things, So on hindsight, diba, but again, there's no such thing as being ready also. I also believe in that school of thought, diba? Na sometimes we only want to venture into something when we feel we're ready, but actually you gotta just jump and do it, So it was a lot of push and pull also while I was in my journey. But for me, keep going, be patient, and it's good to have mentors. Not everyone, especially when you're young, not everyone has that, like real mentors, like like
Yeah.
I mean, not just some guru or some famous person you've met that you got impressed right away. No, there's so many impressionistic people. So it's it's good to be guided by people who actually are older than you. I mean, there's wisdom in that, I guess it's also one thing that I would have wanted to have when I was younger. Just like
a fixed set of mentors, parang ganun.
Mentors that could, like tell you like, oh, you're going the wrong way, or like maybe you should, try to think through what you're doing, things like that. Just may sounding board ka na alam mong napagdaanan din nila, and they've just lived through life longer than you've had. Diba?
Made more mistakes than you, so hopefully you learn from their mistakes. Diba?
Para na mababawas-bawasan ang mga mistakes in life. But I mean, life happens, yeah. Okay. We have our journeys and our own pace, no? So yeah.
Okay. Sige, one more question.
Okay.
Little bit of a geek out. What is one thing about AI, technical or otherwise, that you're really, really keen to understand or figure out?
About AI.
Something you're excited about. Can be anything.
Yeah. Okay, right now I'll be practical. Okay. I'm very interested to learn how I could generate great stories and narratives, whether words or pictures or moving images in AI, using AI. No, I mean, again, my answer is very practical right now. I'm in that space, no, but I don't want to like go think so far, no. I mean, one step at a time. I want to be able to see where that could go and how that could really revolutionize or make such a big impact for brands, for businesses,
storytelling, basically.
Storytelling, yeah, through AI, because it's also personally what I'm passionate about, no. Communication, storytelling, yeah, that's what I'm interested to know. It's very similar to how I started Canva. Okay.
You like Canva? Canva is AI driven.
I know, that's why. Because when I left na corporate, kasi when you're working for a big company, let's say you're a marketing head, right? I mean, you have all the tools, you have people to do things free. You can hire agencies, you can hire graphic designers. But when I corporate, I started my own consultancy, my own business, you don't have all of those.
Yeah.
So I was forced to upskill myself. And that's where I discovered Canva. And knowing Canva, my gosh, like it just exploded for me. Like it amplified what I could do. If I know what I wanted in my head, like an image, a message, or whatever it is, I can execute it myself. And it's such a
empowerment.
Exactly. Empowerment. So I think that's the same feeling I have with AI. It's just a more advanced stage, no? So yeah, I welcome AI with open arms.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's a good enough place to end it for now. I want to thank Pat. It was a great blast from the past as well. You know, the cool stuff we've done. Thanks for coming over. Yeah, and I look forward to hearing more stories from you in a future conversation. No? So thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you also, Doc. Thank you.